Friday 26.
Black Friday
how
is
was
almost...
how was the Americans' Thanksgiving yesterday for some of you?
How was the what?
I think no American here today. Oh, Jay is an American.
Yeah, they're all sleeping because they ate too much food.
Yeah, drink a lot, I guess.
And Tyler, did you
But
check
Jay
out
is in
Michael's
Singapore, so-
reels? He had quite
Sure,
the
it's
fun-
Black
he had
Friday.
quite the
It's
fun-
shopping day.
Oh, today is Black Friday?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Shopping
just
day.
said that
Yes,
a couple of
exactly.
seconds ago.
Shopping.
For those that want to contribute to consumerism, today is Black Friday.
Yeah, the day where we keep killing the planet.
Absolutely, Pierre. Go ahead and go shopping. I'm not doing that.
Okay, we've got the stream rolling. We got the song ending. No, okay. Where's the air horn? Got the links ready. I got the links ready. You got the links ready. I'm ready. If you're ready, audio
Yeah.
effects. 3, 2, 1. Blast off. Here we go.
I can't pin the links though.
Okay, hang on. There you go. And now we get into the big headlines first. Right off the top, Roblox is suing a YouTuber named Ruben Sim, who was actually a very active Robloxer. They're suing him that they previously banned over harassment and sexual content for leading a cyber mob that it says terrorizes Roblox and its developers. And the next one's from Bloomberg. They say they have sources that Chinese regulators have now asked Didi to revise a plan for delisting, or to devise a plan to make a plan for delisting from the New York Stock Exchange. Why? Over concerns about leaking sensitive data. You know why, because you're a tech newser. If you've been here for more than a minute, I've told you why China's so concerned about Didi. And now they've just said they've given you a little bit of a hint out loud. They're not saying exactly what data, but they're saying over concerns about leaking sensitive data. Sounds like I was right after all. Well, it wasn't even me. It was a Chinese geek, in Beijing, who has told us, and still nobody has reported this, but let's click this article to see if Bloomberg actually knows what's really going on, which they very rarely do. What's really going on, and again, we're going to see if Bloomberg knows. Nobody has reported this yet, but the headline fits perfectly with what we already know, which is that when Didi, which is the Uber of China, did their IPO in the US on the New York Stock Exchange, China said, don't do it. And Didi said, fuck you, we're doing it anyways. Because they've got these big investors like Masayoshi-san from SoftBank and Jack Ma, who had already had one of the world's biggest IPOs shut down previously, which was called Ant Financial, which is Jack Ma's financial company that runs Alipay, one of the biggest payment apps in all of the world and based in China. And because Jack Ma had been told to shut down, or China, the CCP shut down the Alipay IPO, one of the world's biggest IPOs, and then they told Didi, hey Didi, you cannot go list on the New York Stock Exchange. And the big investors are Jack Ma from Alibaba and Masayoshi-san, also the big investor in Alipay. They're not going to get burned twice, because they know if they don't IPO, they're going to get screwed, totally screwed. So they jumped in their car and they jumped over the ocean and went ahead and did the listing in New York, and that China freaked out, came over, made a big fuss, and they were very focused on the data. That was being reported. If you looked closely at the headlines you had to go deep into the story to figure out what's going on. Why are they shutting down this IPO? What is China so worried about a Chinese tech company IPOing? What's the problem? Wouldn't China want a big Chinese company doing a big IPO in America? Apparently not, because when China came in and started cracking down, it forced the price to just tank. Like, normally when an IPO happens, the price goes up. But when the government jumps in and says, whoa, 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 shut this show down, of course the stock is going to take a huge hit. The government was clearly trying to punish this company. What was going on? It wasn't really clear. And that's when a friend of ours from Beijing basically spelled it out, that what's going on is that Didi has cameras and microphones inside of all the cars during all the rides. And Didi is wildly popular amongst members of the CCP for getting around Beijing. But they didn't realize that all of their conversations were being video and recorded. And they're having their telephone calls in those cars, and they're having meetings in the back seats of the cars. And then they realized, oh shit, are you telling me that all these, oh no, oh sweet Jesus. So we have to stop this. So, but again, no one has reported that it was because Didi put in those cameras because there was a rape incident in one of the rides. So for rider security and driver security, they put video cameras and audio recording in all the cars and didn't really tell anybody they were doing that. They didn't really feel like they needed to. It's kind of their own prerogative. Uber does the same in the US now. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. So the government wasn't totally aware of that till after the fact. And so now the headline today says China asks Didi to delist from the US stock exchange based on data security fears. Oh, how interesting. Over concerns about leaking sensitive data. What kind of sensitive data might be leaked? I wonder. So, regulators asked Didi executives to create a plan to go private. Forced delisting will be severest action against China tech. Chinese regulators have asked Didi's top executives to make a plan to delist from U.S. exchange. People familiar with the matter said, an unprecedented request that's likely to revive fears about Beijing's intentions for its giant tech industry. The country's technology watchdog wants management to take the company off the New York Stock Exchange because of concerns about leakage of sensitive data, the people said, asking not to be identified discussing the sensitive matter. What kind of data, Bloomberg? Why do we know and you don't? Why are you making billions of dollars and we can't even get Subway Sandwich to sponsor us and we know what's going on and you don't? How is that possible? The Cyberspace Administration of China, the agency responsible for data security in the country, has directed Didi to work out precise details subject to government approval. They said proposal under consideration include a straight-up privatization or a share float in Hong Kong, followed by a delisting from the U.S., the people added. If the privatization proceeds, the proposal will likely be at least $14 IPO price, since a lower offer so soon after the June IPO could prompt lawsuits or shareholder resistance, the people said. If there is a secondary listing in Hong Kong, the IPO price would probably be a discount to the share price in the US. Deliberations continue, blah, blah, blah. Didi sparked the ire of Beijing when it proceeded with its New York stock offering this summer, despite regulatory requests that it ensure the security of its data before the IPO. They were worried about the security of the data. That's why they didn't want them to IPO. What kind of data? Chinese regulators quickly launched multiple investigations into the company and have considered a range of unprecedented penalties. It's possible that the delisting would be part of a package of punishments for Didi. Beijing's municipal government has proposed an investment in the company that would give the state-run firms effective control. So they're going to nationalize it like they do everything. Didi is currently controlled by a management team, blah, 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 blah. Even if Didi shifts its listings to Hong Kong, who cares, blah, blah, blah. They don't know the essence of why the data, the sensitivity of the data, the real reason for all of this. They're completely missing the actual fundamental cause, impetus of the whole issue. So, moving right along. Next one is that from the New York Times, Pinterest settles the discrimination lawsuit by releasing former employees from NDAs and pledging $50 million to overhaul its corporate culture and promote diversity. We covered that one yesterday. Yeah, twice yesterday, both time zones. As I said, Cheryl, there's a lack of news today. The next one, Wall Street Journal, EU proposes broad disclosures about political ads and banning targeting ads on sensitive data, but not micro-targeting, and fines up to 5% of global revenue. We covered this yesterday. Basically, the EU is just cracking down on advertisements, political advertisements. And my buddy Tariq Krim tweeted about it. Shall we get rid entirely of toxic micro-targeting? Anyway, so the EU Commission says elections must not be a competition of dirty methods. And this is an interesting point. Is now in the digital age, the social media age, should politicians be able to spend money on and do political ads on using Facebook and Google Ad Network and all of that? I mean, they do raise lots of money. They do spend that money on campaigns and on ads, and they're, until recently, they've been running those ads on Facebook and Google and everywhere else. And then it becomes a question of who can hire the better digital ad strategist, can have a tremendous impact. It's not even who's the best politician, it's who's got the best digital ad strategist. So maybe could be an interesting debate there about, don't allow for digital ads, or because there's a whole lot of skill involved in that. But you could say that the same is true of print ads and billboard ads as well. I'm sure there's a strategy to figuring out which billboards and which magazines to advertise in, or which TV shows to advertise. So anyway, they're trying to make the election process more egalitarian, for lack of a better word. So there's this big new EU proposal about political digital ads, banning targeting based on sensitive data like race. Okay. Interesting thing, because politicians are going after certain race groups with certain messages, and things can get a little bit crazy. So the next one is that Israel reduces the number of countries approved for export of cyber tools like Pegasus from 102 to 37, most of which are in the West, after the US sanctioned the NSO Group and Kinderu, these Israeli hackerwares. And now Israel's digital ministry, the Ministry of Defense, has reduced the number of countries approved that are able to buy these Israeli hacker tools from 102 countries down to 37 countries. Chinese Chinese chip maker, Moore's Threads, raises a $313 million to make more chips. Yeah, I guess China's trying to go. Spotify confirms that it's testing something they call Discover, a TikTok-like vertical feed of music videos that appears to repurpose Canvas videos in its iOS app. TikTok has seen its short-form video feed copied by a host of competitors, from Instagram to Snapchat to YouTube and even Netflix, and now Spotify joining all the other social media apps in copying kind of TikTok-like features and functionality. Because that's what the kids like. They like mindless scrolling, doom scrolling.
Hey, Tyler,
Yes.
could just very quickly, because I'm sorry that I probably should have brought up when you did destroy 2 minutes ago, but on this thing about targeting people for if there's certain racial backgrounds or anything, not all of that is nefarious. I mean, if you were interested in voting rights or something, and I mean that's obviously of more of an issue to minority voters, and if you've got something to say about voting rights, you might want to target ads talking about your position on the voting rights legislation. It's not necessarily anything nefarious. So I don't know why people would object to that. Kind of that targeting happens, all the time in traditional campaigns. I just wanted to make that point.
And for the younger generations, actually here we have this because the young influencers win the elections by using the social media, not a traditional way. So I think if it's transparent enough, yeah, I just agree what Ken said. If it's transparent enough, why not using this new media? It just not pretend it's some undercover advertisement. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
So next up is all right. The next one is a look at some key design challenges in crypto and Web3 from onboarding to wallet security that need to be addressed for the next generation of users. This is very true. That as big as crypto is now, it will get up 50 times bigger if they can figure out how to make it usable. It's still quite difficult. This is why my mom is not using it. And there's an incredible windfall of money to be made by making the stuff easy, and Jack Dorsey, more than anyone, seems to understand that. There's a few who do, and they're going to be rewarded ridiculously handsomely for bringing the rest of the world into a very simplified crypto landscape. It's NFTs or Bitcoin or what have you. The next one's from Bloomberg, that UMC and Micron agreed to withdraw their IP complaints against each other. Yeah, no one cares about that, really. Next is how a Nigerian university student turned to cybercrime during the pandemic to pay his bills, driven by high unemployment, few well-paying jobs, and boredom. Around November 2020, Coyote said he was invited to a house party, the kind attended mostly by others involved in the country's illicit digital economy. Oh, the Nigerian Prince party? I want to go to that party. I want to meet these Nigerian princes. The next one is from The Block. It says, Coinbase acquires crypto wallet startup BRD, which we covered yesterday. That's a very simple crypto wallet. And there you go. Now you're seeing a big company like Coinbase buying the really simplified BRD wallets to get more of the normal folks to onboard in very simple, easy ways. Next up, Everstocks, which offers product management and monitoring software, raises $20 million. Google Ireland agrees to pay $345 million tax settlement with Irish authorities. And Wall Street Journal says it has sources that at least 9 state-run companies, Chinese companies, state-run Chinese companies, including China Mobile, are telling staff to stop using Tencent's WhatsApp, citing security concerns. Again, that could be incredibly similar to Didi, because WhatsApp operates in the US. And normally, China's very sensitive about all of its government data, as it should be. And you have a lot of state-run Chinese companies using WhatsApp. Well, that could be hacked. So now the Chinese state-run companies are telling their employees, let's not use WhatsApp. I imagine one of those reasons might be for fear that somebody hacks WhatsApp and is able to get in there and see what all of these state-run Chinese companies are saying and doing. Next is from CNBC. Baidu wins approval to start collecting fares for its robo-taxis in Beijing, in one district of Beijing, just in time for the Winter Olympics, as they have been planning for a long time now. However, these do have humans in the vehicles that are behind the driver's seat, but they're autonomous robo-taxis, but not fully autonomous yet. They still have a human companion. And those are your big, boring headlines of today. As I said, there was not a lot of news today. You see what I'm saying, Cheryl? Good. So the first tweet that I have is from Saudamini. Cybercrime costing the Irish economy a whopping $9.6 billion. Euros, which would be $10 billion. New research carried out by Grant Thornton Ireland has revealed the overall cost of cybercrime to the Irish economy in 2020 is $10 billion. That's a lot for a country like Ireland, actually. EU countries agreed on common stance on new rules for U.S. tech giants. Frustrated by the slow pace of antitrust investigation, the EU competition chief, Margaret Vestager, has proposed two sets of rules known as the Digital Marketing Act, and they're going to try and crack down on U.S. big tech because the U.S. said, no, we'll crack down on our own tech. Let us do it. And then the EU, shit's going slow in the U.S. legal governance machinery when the EU is saying, you know what, we're tired of waiting for you. We're going to go ahead and move forward because you guys are just even too slow for us. Holy shit. Next, Bitcoin overtakes PayPal on value transferred, amount of money transferred. And they set their sights on MasterCard as the next target. Block Data's report found that Bitcoin is on track to match credit card giants Visa and MasterCard in value transferred. It might take a while to get there. They just passed PayPal. Thank you for that one, Craig. And Thai lawmakers are urging to approve a tourism crypto to entice digital nomads. Somebody who lives in Thailand, I can tell you this is just one of an endless stream of completely cockamamie shit-brain ideas come out of the land of smiles to attract people. Somebody in the government is excited about crypto and they're trying to force something that will have barely any effect whatsoever by creating a Tourism Authority of Thailand coin. Anyone want to get the Tourism Authority of Thailand coin? Doesn't that sound hot? Hey, Elon, I see you're all hot on the crypto. How about the Tourism Authority of Thailand coin, Elon? Can we pump that one for a minute? Don't get me started with... Don't get me started. Hang on. Is my mic not on? What? No, my mic's on. Can you guys not hear me?